What's going on, y'all? Let's check out this video from Rev. If I'm not mistaken, it's about critical drinker. Damn. Let's see what's happening. I don't really know what's the situation.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So this video is going to be a bit of a follow-up to something I covered a few days ago, where we had this very interesting collision of parties, including Hollywood, multiple franchises, and YouTubers as well. Today we're going to be looking at the continued attacks on the author of Project Hail Mary, Andy Weir, who's being called out not only by activists on social media for his non-political views, but also we're going to be looking at the continued cancellation of him because of his association with YouTuber Critical Drinker.
Wait, y'all talking about what's the name of this? Well, he said the name, but the movie with is that Ryan Gosling? Or is he talking about a different one? Oh yeah, no, the Ryan Gosling movie. I saw that. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I wasn't mad at it. He was acting his ass off.
Who's being attacked on multiple fronts here by soy boy YouTubers trying to call him a chud that is cancer to work with. But also he's getting canceled from authors like this on your screen right now, who are trying to basically stab him in the back after having no problem working with him in the past because they want to impress Hollywood and gain virtue signaling points by doing so. But where did all this begin? Well, it started about 2 weeks ago when there was an announcement regarding Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which will be ending with its second season. This surprises nobody. This was an incredibly woke and just terrible show that cared way more about owning the chuds.
I figured that's what it would be, but I've never really was a Trekkie.
Than providing entertaining content. And people in response to this were blaming everything but the showrunners themselves and the actors involved, blaming right-wingers, anti-woke people, YouTubers, anyone they could think of. And now it seems even more obvious, if it wasn't already, why this show's getting canceled. Nobody watched. They tried to appeal to the modern audience, and that's what they got, the modern audience. There is an allegation out there, a report, that less than 40,000 people watched each Starfleet Academy episode. Ladies and gentlemen, just wrap your minds around that. There will likely be more people watching this video than the average Starfleet Academy episode. And of course, with 10 episodes, the total views for the entire first season is around 400,000. That is painful, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense when you look.
That's nuts. What network was it on?
At the latest involving the change.org petition trying to get a third season of this show because it has roughly 40,000 signatures. The modern audience, ladies and gentlemen. But things get even worse. Now you have actors from the show saying they're sad about the show getting canceled and that they have all these episodes left and they're just bummed that this didn't work out. Which is very funny to hear because just a few days ago, the same actor came out and said they're vowing to make season 2 gay as F and to go out in flames and to be even louder and even more annoying when it comes to representing his character. These people learn.
That's so out of pocket. Listen, I do understand that the original Star Trek was somewhat of a commentary, social commentary type of show. I'm not going to just be oblivious, but I do think that they did it in a better way to where, one, it wasn't on the nose, right? Like, it wasn't super in your face. I feel the same way about the Twilight Zone. Yeah, the Twilight Zone was always social commentary. It wasn't so in your face the way it was like they were trying to force feed it to you of whatever the woke thing was. That was when woke was actually a good thing. So yeah, it's very different. We don't care you don't have political views. We care you don't have our political views type cancellation-ish. That's funny.
Absolutely nothing and are doomed to fail any project they are associated with. But there's another franchise involved with this situation, and that, of course, is Project Hail Mary. Its author, Andy Weir, is getting a lot of heat from people in Hollywood and activists on social media, despite the enormous success this film is having at the box office right now. They're mad about some of his stances when it comes to politics and the projects he works on, where Andy Weir does not want to inject modern politics or a modern agenda into his works. And of course, that makes all the activists very angry. But they're also angry about his recent collaboration with Critical Drinker, where people from the industry are calling him out on social media and in other places for simply joining his stream, where they talked about many things, including Starfleet Academy, where Andy Weir described Kurtzman's shows and the modern Star Trek as garbage, as crap. And, well, for telling the truth, he made many people very angry. People are also pointing out some of his stances again when it comes.
You said, dude, X-Men is social commentary on the alphabet community. The legacy was a take on epidemic. I'm going to disagree with you there, buddy. It was about the civil rights movement. That's at least my interpretation. In fact, most Black comic book fans believe that X-Men was a metaphor for the civil rights movement. Professor X was Martin Luther King, and Magneto was Malcolm X. And how like the whole Sentinels, and I mean it's pretty on the nose, but it's about like on some racism. Yeah, at least that was always my interpretation when I read X-Men. Was like, oh, this is blatantly the civil rights movement. But that's a different interpretation about the alphabet community. I didn't know that. Because the virus that you're speaking on also affected the Black community very heavily around that time. He said, okay, I was told it was both. I can concede that point. I just knew the thing about the legacy virus. Yeah, that 100% could be true. I mean, what you're saying could be right also. It was just always my interpretation, and every like Black comic book fan that loved X-Men would always be like, yo, this is so cool, man. It's like they're doing the whole civil rights movement all over again. And then when you watch it, you're like, oh, wow, yeah. The way people hate mutants, some of the things that they were saying, no mutants allowed. That was being done to Black people around that time back then. You know, like white only water fountains and stuff along those lines. But it could be about both. It could be about both. Comic book writers, they have a habit of doing that, putting a lot of different metaphors in it.
Comes to AI and putting real world commentary and politics into fiction, and how he deeply misunderstands Star Trek, according to people like this on social media. That just yesterday, a post like this.
It's like that, what's that new Disney movie that people like? Zootopia. I watched that, I think, with my little cousin and was amazed. I'm like, oh, snap. This movie is about like racism and prejudice. Fire. And then like doing it in a way that it's not super on the nose. You got to really like be in the know to realize, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. But I'm really into a lot of movies like that. It's like super metaphorical, or like that are giving certain like extreme examples to prove a point. Like I just told you, I just finished rewatching a movie called Bamboozled that I loved. Crazy movie, good points. Or there's a more recent one called American Fiction, about a writer that writes a book. It's fire. I love that movie. I'm always watching like reviews and people's opinions on that specific movie a lot because I love the message.
Got 15,000 likes. And basically they're saying that they dislike, this is Andy Weir, he dislikes social commentary. Like he really hates it.
Zootopia was great. Commentary.
When I'm reading a book, I just want to be entertained, not preached at by the author. Plus, it ruins the wonder of the story if I know the author has a political or social axe to grind. I no longer speculate about all possible outcomes of the story because I know for a fact that the universe of that book
It depends. I love Animal Farm. Man, that's super political.
will conspire to ensure that the author's political agenda is validated. I hate that. I put no politics or social commentary into my stories at all. Anyone who thinks they see something like that is reading it on their own. I have no point to make, and I'm not trying to affect the reader's opinion on anything. My sole job is to entertain, and I stick to that. This quote from Andy Weir is making people upset. He is delivering what 99% of people.
I don't think he said anything wrong. I'm not mad at a good message if you do it well, right? Like, that's just me personally. One of my favorite movies is a movie called, oh my gosh. It's one of the only movies that this dude, Tom Ford, did. Ford film. Nocturnal Animals. Love that movie. In fact, the writer within that movie is doing exactly what I'm saying. If you could give me a strong message, but then wrap it up like it's not what it is in a good way, where you like almost tricking me to realize or see the other side, perfect. I'm not mad at that. But a lot of these new writers and creators are just so on the nose. They just want to pump their political agenda in your face and don't even care about good writing.
Want an apolitical piece of entertainment that is not affected by personal agendas or something happening in modern politics. You would think people would be happy, but no. People like this on Twitter are crashing out. But here's some of the quotes criticizing this sort of a complaint. This person saying, in quotes, I put no politics or social commentary into my stories at all. Anyone who thinks they see it, they're not reading it from me. They're reading it on their own. And they continue on reading the rest of the quote. And this user says, this is exactly why the movie is so good. Here's another one.
They said, most of entertainment has political propaganda intertwined within it. Yeah. These days, for sure. My criticism about why are you adding woke-ish to any piece of media is when it is crammed in. I watched the interpretation of Hamlet where his family were real estate developers and it rang hollow. Damn. I usually like when they do stuff like that too. Like when they remade Othello and made him a basketball player. I thought that was pretty interesting. So I can't stomach too much new movies and TV shows. They don't put in the right kind of effort to make shows, to be honest. I agree. It's like very rare. That's why like I watch a lot of shows from overseas, right? Like I got into a show called Top Boy years ago. And I thought like, oh damn, this is very good. And I started watching a lot of other like UK television shows. I think now Top Boy crossed over. They made like an American continuation. But it seems like a lot of these shows that come out nowadays are so lazy. They don't want to put no effort into what the heck they're doing.
One mocking the original poster. The fiction.
They don't want to do some good writing. The fact that I'd be sitting there like, nigga, I could have wrote this way better. Way better. I've taken like writing classes because I was just into it and wanted to write scripts and had like teachers that were in Hollywood currently writing shows for CW, like grading my damn papers and all that. And this is just something that I used to go to for fun. So yeah, I know what I'm talking about. These niggas don't know what they doing in that writer's room. They're so focused on the message that is like, nigga, I don't mind a message, but be objective as well as don't be on the nose. Like, don't pump it into my face. There's certain things where it's like, damn, this would have been so much better if you really just focused on a story. But
fiction author is trying to entertain me instead of validating my stupid opinions. I know, shocking, right? I cannot believe someone writing fiction would want to entertain instead of validate people's political opinions and activism. Here's another one saying the amount of attacks on Andy Weir and the Critical Drinker have endured just because
there's not many new gems. There are. It's just, you got to really dig and search for it, right? Most of them are within the independent lane. A lot of them are like films that people are making on their own or like things like that. Or people that came from being independent and then started finally getting a budget. A lot of people like that they're putting out some good films. Let me see. What was a good movie I watched recently that came out recently? The Hail Mary Project was decent, but that wasn't like independent, but it was still a decent film. I wasn't mad at that one. Like there's a few. This one you just gotta really dig, really look for it. Well, damn, that one came out in 2000s. Shit, I would have to see a list. I can't recall just off the top of the dome what movies came out recently that I like. Monkey Man. I loved Monkey Man. I felt like that movie deserved more attention. Monkey Man was one of the best new films that came out within the last few years. That was like excellent. I'm mad that not enough people talk about Monkey Man. That was a very good film. Instead of leading horses to drink, it's more waterboarding. That's funny. So Jay Dyer has a series of book named Historic Hollywood. It goes so deep from the very start of Hollywood. Things you'd never expect to be propaganda are exactly that. I'm not surprised.
They like based movies is insane. Cancellations, death threats, and more. Just because you like good movies. I am never surprised anymore at the amount of people who really want you dead over not consuming The Message. Now, The Message is a bit of a joke, a run-on gag, or a phrase from Critical Drinker's content where he talks about the message, right? People trying to force modern politics into their stories. And someone's really upset about the message being brought up here. And that is Matt Jarbo. I'm discovering more about these individuals. There's a lot of very interesting players in this side of the internet. Matt Jarbo is a bit of a lolcow, as I
don't know who he is. I do like Jane Silent Bob, though. Is that a picture from their cartoon?
Very quickly realize the more I look at this guy. And he was immediately calling Andy Weir a chud because of comments he made while collaborating with Critical Drinker. And anyone who says the phrase chud unironically, I mean, there's just no saving them at that point. But he has openly led a boycott against Project Hail Mary simply because Andy Weir went on a stream with the noted chud Critical Drinker. And of course, this guy got absolutely blasted in the comments. I mean, first of all, look at this, right? 336,000 views, 110 likes, 1,200 comments. That's how much mockery was directed this guy's way, because he clearly has an issue with Critical Drinker, and anyone who associates with him is immediately labeled a chud or a bad person and deserving of a boycott. But Critical Drinker would quote Matt Jarbo saying, "Oh no, how will this movie ever succeed without the Boulder King to support it?" And Matt Jarbo since then has been trying to take a victory lap because Andy Weir would apologize for his comments about Starfleet Academy and its executive producer, saying it was not supposed to come off as mean as it was received, which some people thought was an L. I think it was an L amongst a situation where Andy Weir was collecting a lot of W's, right? If he had 5 W's coming out of his commentary and his collaboration with Critical Drinker, he might have lost 1 point. Okay, he lost 1 W because of the backtracking, but you know, who knows what he got in terms of a boss call from Hollywood or anything like that. But you can see Matt Jarbo saying last week, I pointed out how crappy it was that Andy Weir went on with the Dip Drinker and everyone lost their minds and my post blew up like crazy. Then Andy apologized for his comments made on the podcast. Now Matt Dinniman is calling out Drinker and regretting working with him. Jarbodamus strikes again.
I thought he was saying Damon. I'm like, why is Matt Damon talking about this? The hell?
And it's just like this guy is immune to a well-supported take. But yeah, we will see this Matt Dinniman individual trying to cancel Critical Drinker in just a second, but let's go back to the message. Okay, Matt Jarbo says, in quotes, the message. That's the grift. Word that has completely lost all meaning. That's the Critical Drinker's entire business model summed up in a 2-word calling card. But it's not just him. It's Nerdrotic. It's Geeks and Gamers. It's the Side Scrollers podcast, which, by the way, I am a regular member of. I go on Side Scrollers once every 2 weeks, and we'll talk more about this probably in another video, but just know that they were mentioned, Sargon of Akkad, and the entire right-wing pop culture outrage ecosystem. They don't even have to define what it is, or, like most anti-woke reviewers, actually care enough to engage with the narrative mechanics of a movie or game. It's just a convenient straw man. The grift runs on this manufactured outrage. Instead of offering a real community to guys who miss the simplicity of the 80s and 90s, they offer a catchphrase. They blame a changing, diverse pop culture landscape to keep you isolated in the dark, hunting for a reason to be angry at a screen for 2 hours rather than just participating in society. Holy projection. Damn. This is a necessary cycle to break if you ever want to actually enjoy escapism again. Is the message a real, fundamental critique of modern storytelling? No. But does it work to keep people angry and clicking? Yes, it does. The problem isn't with modern filmmakers, it's with all these outrage peddlers who do not have their fingers on the pulse of society at all. Give it a few years, and they'll all be relegated to third-rate, small-time comic conventions, sitting at fold-out tables where isolated guys pay them $5 just to say the line. I mean, are you getting any of these things that you're crafting in this hypothetical that one day they might lose? I don't understand how people like this think they have the pulse when their posts get zero support whatsoever. And you can look at any Critical Drinker video, typically will get around 1 million views and overwhelming support. So I think it's very obvious who's out of touch here. And when it comes to the message and wokeness, which people can easily define, the message is a symptom of woke culture, where over and over again, there is political agendas being forced upon people who are just trying to have some escapism, to enjoy whatever universe they're consuming. They don't want to hear about modern politics. They don't want things ham-fisted in a very unsubtle way into that content. So yes, when the message is something that is clearly present in these various forms of media, those forms of media typically fail. What's an example of that? Oh, the ground level for this whole thing, Starfleet Academy. They had the message all throughout it, and they will continue to have the message in the second season, and that is why they are failing. But we did see this other mention of Matt Dinniman, who is the author of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
It keeps, when he says it, it sounds like they saying Matt Damon. I'm like, what is Matt Damon keep injecting himself into this for? Like, Matt, if you don't shut your ass up, Matt.
And he's had some things to say about Critical Drinker as well, saying in quotes, "I regret that my books have any association whatsoever with him. I hope one day to have his part in the book, in book 3, removed altogether. It's a distraction. And the only edgelord douchebag I want people to think of when they read my books is the AI itself." Why did he feel the need to do this? Right. Asks the original poster here. Yeah, this is very interesting because Critical Drinker has a role, as small appearance in the audiobook of Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is a successful one, right? A lot of people really enjoy this IP, and Critical Drinker had a role to play in it, which it seems like years ago, that wasn't an issue whatsoever. But now this person regrets any association whatsoever and wants him completely removed. And you can see this sort of tactic and how it is backfiring horribly. Here's the comments. Drinker is only getting heat because he is successful. What's the issue with Drinker? He's objectively based. I was curious about these books, but now I've lost all interest. Thank you for showing us who you really are. Wow, that sucks. I guess I'll just stop buying his books. Just finished the third book as well. Hope this is all fake. Glad I read this. I was thinking about buying the book, and so on and so forth. But of course, you have the Looney Tunes trying to go after Critical Drinker here, saying, Critical Drinker needs to get a job. He and his round table of clones are the modern audience. They're always ready day one with ticket in hand, ready to consume product, get mad and wait for next product. Stop simping for him because funny accent man make joke. F grifters. Again, it seems like all these people have no idea what a grifter is. They don't even try to explain why they believe someone like Critical Drinker is a grifter. But yeah, they're going the next level of cope I've never seen, where they're accusing people like Critical Drinker of being the modern audience. The modern audience is now accusing the people critical of the modern audience of being the modern audience. How did we get here? This is like the maximum level of cope. But Critical Drinker would quote this post right here saying, LOL, that's interesting since he was very excited to work with me and claimed to be a big fan when it benefited him. Now that he's trying to break into TV, suddenly he's filled with regret. Good luck sucking all that Hollywood D, buddy. Hope it was worth it. Hey. Yeah, there's a lot of attacks going on and so many authors going at each other, and it's providing some great content, ladies and gentlemen, I will say that, but it is interesting to see this guy once again in the middle of multiple franchises and IPs battling it out over some of the most stupid stuff I've ever seen, all beginning with Starfleet Academy, of all things, getting axed after its second season finally airs and completes. I mean, this is what Hollywood does. If you want to appeal to Hollywood, this is the route you go. And all it's doing for this author who's attacking Critical Drinker, all it's doing is hurting his reputation. It's hurting his product. This was a needless and baseless attack for no reason. And it's going to backfire. It's only going to hurt. A lot of people were getting their first introduction to this IP because of the comments about Critical Drinker. And it's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. But that is the situation for now. That's going to also do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always.
Yeah, man, I think it makes no sense why they're going after him. He gave an opinion. It is what it is. If you disagree, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But tell me what you guys think down in the comment section. Hit the hype button if you're able to, all that good stuff.